You thought the first 36 mistakes were bad? Those were just the warm-up. History is an endless parade of catastrophic blunders, each one more unbelievable than the last. We're talking about empires destroyed by typos, fortunes lost on bad bets, and wars started because someone was too proud to admit they were wrong. These aren't just footnotes in history books. These are the moments that prove humanity learns nothing from its mistakes. Welcome to Part 2. 36 more world-changing disasters caused by pure human stupidity. If you thought we'd run out of examples, you severely underestimate how bad we are at making decisions. Buckle up, this is going to hurt. Number 1. The dot-com bubble and pets. In 1999, everyone was throwing money at internet companies. Pets.com sold pet supplies online and spent $300 million on advertising, including a Super Bowl ad. Their business model? Sell $10 dog food bags, charge $5 shipping, and lose money on every sale. Investors didn't care. It's the internet. We'll figure it out later. Then Pets.com went from $300 million IPO to bankrupt in 268 days. Thousands of dot-com companies followed. $5 trillion in wealth evaporated. The lesson? Maybe have a business plan that doesn't lose money on every transaction. Just a suggestion. Number 2. The Hindenburg disaster. In 1937, Germany built the world's largest aircraft, the Hindenburg, a luxurious airship filled with 7 million cubic feet of hydrogen. Yes, the flammable gas. They knew hydrogen was dangerous. Helium was safer but more expensive. So they went with the cheaper, explosive option for a passenger aircraft. May 6, 1937. The Hindenburg burst into flames while landing in New Jersey. 36 people died in 37 seconds. The entire disaster was caught on film and radio. The result? The entire airship industry died that day. All because they chose flammable gas to save money. Number 3. Western Union rejecting the telephone. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell offered to sell his telephone patent to Western Union for $100,000. Western Union's president said, "What use could this company make of an electrical toy?" They rejected it. 5 years later, the telephone was everywhere. Bell's company became AT&T, worth hundreds of billions. Western Union spent decades kicking themselves. The irony? A telegraph company didn't see the value in better communication technology. Number 4. The Starbucks that almost wasn't. In 1987, Starbucks had 6 stores selling coffee beans, not drinks. Howard Schultz wanted to add espresso bars. The owners said no. "We're a coffee bean company, not a restaurant." Schultz quit and opened his own coffee bar. A year later, Schultz's coffee bars were booming. He bought Starbucks for $3.8 million and implemented his vision. Today, Starbucks has 36,000 stores worldwide worth $100 billion. All because the original owners said no, and Schultz didn't listen. Number 5. The Mongols and the Jin dynasty's fatal insult. In 1210, Genghis Khan sent ambassadors to the Jin dynasty seeking peaceful trade. The Jin emperor made Khan's envoy kneel and then sent him back with an insult. Khan was willing to negotiate. After the insult, not so much. The response? Khan invaded with his entire army. The Jin dynasty was obliterated. Millions died. Their civilization was erased from history. The cost? One diplomatic insult triggered genocide. Maybe just be polite to the guy with the massive army. Number 6. The Mars Polar Lander. In 1999, NASA sent the Mars Polar Lander to, well, land on Mars. It cost $165 million and took years to develop. During descent, the landing legs deployed. Sensors detected the deployment vibration and thought it had landed, so the engines shut off, while still 130 feet in the air. The lander crashed into Mars at 50 miles per hour and was destroyed instantly. Nobody thought to test this scenario. The lesson? A $165 million spacecraft destroyed by a software bug that could have been caught with proper testing. Number 7. King Charles I dissolving Parliament. In 1629, King Charles I of England got tired of Parliament questioning his authority, so he dissolved it and ruled alone for 11 years. When he finally needed Parliament to raise taxes for war, they said no. Then they arrested him for tyranny. The outcome? Civil war. Charles was captured, put on trial, and beheaded in 1649. the first monarch executed by his own people. The irony? His attempt to gain absolute power cost him his head. Number 8. The IBM PC and Microsoft's coup. In 1980, IBM needed an operating system for their new PC. They approached Bill Gates, who didn't have one. Gates bought an OS called QDOS for $50,000, renamed it MS-DOS, and licensed it to IBM. IBM could have bought exclusive rights, but didn't. The result? Gates licensed MS-DOS to every PC maker. IBM got nothing. Microsoft became a $3 trillion company. The mistake? IBM gave away the software empire to save a few $1,000s. Number 9. The Great Leap Forward. In 1958, Mao Zedong wanted to rapidly industrialize China. His plan? Backyard steel furnaces and killing all the sparrows. Sparrows ate grain, so Mao ordered them exterminated. Millions of Chinese citizens banged pots to keep sparrows flying until they died of exhaustion. The problem? Sparrows also ate locusts. Without sparrows, locusts destroyed crops. Combined with failed policies, this caused the Great Chinese Famine. The death toll? 15 to 55 million people starved because someone killed all the birds. Number 10. Yahoo refusing to buy Google. In 1998, Larry Page and Sergey Brin offered to sell Google to Yahoo for $1 million. Yahoo said no. "We're a portal company, not a search company." They thought their curated content was more valuable than search. In 2002, Yahoo tried to buy Google for $3 billion. Google said no. By 2008, Google was worth $180 billion. Yahoo eventually sold for $4.8 billion to Verizon. The lesson? That $1 million decision cost Yahoo everything. Number 11. The London Beer Flood. In 1814, a massive vat holding 135,000 gallons of beer ruptured at the Mees Brewing Company in London. The explosion caused a domino effect. Other vats burst. 388,000 gallons of beer flooded the streets in a 15-foot wave. The casualties? 8 people drowned in beer. Houses collapsed. Entire families were swept away in the tsunami of alcohol. The aftermath? The brewery sued for damages. They argued it was an act of God and won. Nobody was held responsible. Number 12. Pepsi almost owning a Soviet Navy. In 1989, Pepsi needed to expand into the USSR. But rubles were worthless internationally. So the Soviets offered to pay in warships. Pepsi accepted. 17 submarines, a cruiser, a frigate, and a destroyer. For a brief moment, Pepsi had the 6th largest navy in the world. They immediately sold the ships for scrap. Pepsi went from soft drink company to military power to scrap dealer in months. The absurdity? A soda company owned more submarines than most countries because of a trade deal. Number 13. The Council of Nicaea almost banning chess. In 1093, the Eastern Orthodox Church held a council and seriously considered banning chess. Why? They thought it was gambling and led to arguments. Some bishops wanted chess players excommunicated. The outcome? They compromised. Clergy could play chess, but not for money. The ban never fully took effect, but they tried. The ridiculousness? Imagine if chess had been banned because medieval bishops thought it was too dangerous. Number 14. Quibi's $1 75 billion disaster. In 2020, Jeffrey Katzenberg launched Quibi, a streaming service for 10-minute shows on phones. He raised $1.75 billion from investors. The pitch? People would watch short premium content during their commute. They launched in April 2020, right when COVID hit and nobody was commuting. 6 months later, Quibi shut down. They burned through $1.75 billion in 200 days. Investors got nothing back. The timing? The worst-timed product launch in streaming history. They bet everything on commutes. Then commutes disappeared. Number 15. The Emu War, Australian perspective. We mentioned this before, but here's what makes it truly embarrassing. Australia deployed their military with machine guns against birds. The emus scattered into small groups. Soldiers couldn't get clear shots. The emus were faster than expected. After 10,000 rounds, they'd killed maybe 1,000 birds out of 20,000. The commander withdrew forces, claiming the emus had guerrilla tactics. The Australian government officially lost a war to flightless birds. The legacy? it's a national embarrassment. And tourists won't let them forget it. Number 16. New York giving away radio spectrum. In the early 1900s, New York City could have claimed ownership of radio frequencies. They were free for the taking, just file paperwork. City officials thought radio was a fad. They did nothing. Private companies claimed the spectrum and made billions. Today, radio spectrum is worth trillions. New York missed out on generational wealth because someone thought radio wouldn't last. The mistake? Not recognizing transformative technology. Again. Number 17. The Schlieffen Plan's fatal flaw. Before World War I, Germany had a plan. Quickly defeat France, then turn east to fight Russia. They'd go through neutral Belgium. Britain had guaranteed Belgium's neutrality. Germany thought Britain wouldn't actually fight over it. They were wrong. Britain declared war immediately. What should have been a short European conflict became a 4-year global catastrophe, killing 17 million. The miscalculation? Germany gambled that Britain wouldn't honor its treaty. They lost. Number 18. Enron's House of Cards. In the 1990s, Enron was America's 7th largest company, worth $70 billion. They reported massive profits year after year. It was all fake. They used accounting tricks to hide billions in debt. When investigators looked closer, the whole empire collapsed in weeks. The outcome? Enron filed for bankruptcy in 2001. Executives went to prison. 20,000 employees lost their jobs and pensions. The lesson? You can't fake success forever. Eventually, math catches up. Number 19. Hannibal stopping at the gates of Rome. In 216 BC, Hannibal crushed Rome's army at Cannae. Rome was defenseless. His generals begged him to march on the city immediately. Hannibal refused. He wanted to rest his troops first and negotiate. It was his only chance to end the war, and he waited. Rome rebuilt its army. Hannibal never got another opportunity. He spent 14 more years in Italy accomplishing nothing, then lost the war. The tragedy? He was one march away from destroying Rome. He hesitated. Rome conquered the world instead. Number 20. The Ford Pinto's exploding gas tank. In the 1970s, Ford designed the Pinto with a gas tank behind the rear axle. Rear-end collisions caused explosions. Ford knew. Internal documents showed they calculated it was cheaper to pay wrongful death lawsuits than recall the cars. They needed just $11 per car to fix it. The result? Between 27 and 180 people burned to death. Estimates vary. When documents leaked, the backlash destroyed Ford's reputation. The evil? They chose profit over human lives. And they put it in writing. Number 21. Spain expelling Jews and Muslims. In 1492, Spain expelled all Jews and Muslims who wouldn't convert to Christianity. We're talking about 200,000 plus of the most educated, skilled citizens. These were doctors, scientists, merchants, and artisans. They took their knowledge and wealth to other countries. The outcome? Spain's economy collapsed. Their rivals, especially the Ottoman Empire, benefited massively. Spain never recovered its position as a superpower. The irony? Religious purity cost them their empire. Number 22. The Segway revolution that wasn't. In 2001, inventor Dean Kamen hyped a secret invention that would revolutionize transportation. Steve Jobs called it as big as the PC, the Segway, a $5,000 standing scooter. The hype had promised flying cars. They delivered an expensive scooter. The result? Segways became a punchline. Mall cops rode them. Tourists used them. But the revolution never came. The lesson? Never overpromise. The Segway was fine. The hype made it a joke. Number 23. The UK selling insulin rights for $1. In the 1920s, Canadian researchers discovered insulin. They sold the patent to the University of Toronto for $1 so it would be affordable for everyone. Drug companies were supposed to produce it cheaply. Instead, they formed a cartel. Today, insulin costs hundreds per vial in the US. The betrayal? A life-saving drug given away for humanitarian reasons became a profit engine. People die because they can't afford it. The tragedy? The inventors wanted to save lives. Corporations wanted money. Number 24. Time Warner and AOL's $350 billion merger. In 2000, AOL bought Time Warner for $165 billion, the largest merger ever. AOL was worth more than the media giant Time Warner. 2 years later, the dot-com bubble burst. AOL's value evaporated. The merger lost $99 billion in 1 year, the biggest corporate loss in history. By 2009, they split up. Time Warner spun off AOL, worth just $3 billion. The worst merger in business history. The lesson? Bigger isn't always better. Sometimes it's just more expensive. Number 25. Napoleon selling Louisiana for $15 million.
A momentous day for both our...
In 1803, Napoleon needed cash for European wars. So he sold the Louisiana Territory to the U.S., 828,000 square miles for $15 million. That's about 3 cents per acre. It doubled America's size and included 15 future states. The value today? Trillions of dollars in land, resources, and economic power. France got enough money to fund a few years of war, then lost anyway. The irony? Napoleon's fire sale created the superpower that would eclipse France. Number 26. The Sinclair C5 electric vehicle. In 1985, British inventor Clive Sinclair launched the C5, an electric tricycle that would revolutionize personal transport. It had a top speed of 15 miles per hour, a range of 20 miles, and you sat 6 inches off the ground, in traffic, in the rain, in England. Sales target? 100,000 per year. Actual sales? 5,000 total. Production stopped after 10 months. It became a national joke. The problem? Sinclair built a death trap and called it the future. Number 27. The Soviet War in Afghanistan. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. They expected quick victory, a few months at most. Instead, they fought a guerrilla war for 10 years. The US armed Afghan fighters, turning it into a proxy war. The Soviets lost 15,000 soldiers. The outcome? The war bankrupted the USSR and contributed to its collapse in 1991. It was their Vietnam. The lesson? Never invade Afghanistan. History has proven this over and over. Nobody listens. Number 28. Borders Bookstore outsourcing online sales. In 2001, Borders Bookstore didn't want to compete with Amazon online, so they partnered with Amazon, letting Amazon handle their web sales. Borders thought they'd benefit from Amazon's expertise. Instead, they trained their customers to shop on Amazon. 7 years later, Borders filed for bankruptcy. Amazon dominated book sales. Borders literally gave their customers to their competitor. The stupidity? They paid Amazon to destroy them. Number 29. The invention of leaded gasoline. In the 1920s, Thomas Midgley invented leaded gasoline to prevent engine knock. It worked great. Small problem, lead is poison. For decades, cars spewed lead into the atmosphere. It contaminated soil, water, and air globally. The result? Millions of children suffered brain damage from lead exposure. Crime rates correlated with lead levels. It took 50 years to ban. The kicker? Midgley knew it was toxic. He lied about safety. Then he invented CFCS, which destroyed the ozone layer. Number 30. King John losing the crown jewels. In 1216, England's King John, yes, the same one from earlier, was fleeing rebels. He took the crown jewels with him for safekeeping. While crossing the Wash estuary, the tide came in faster than expected. His entire baggage train, including the crown jewels, was swallowed by quicksand. The loss? Priceless royal regalia gone forever. John died days later, possibly from grief or dysentery. The legacy? England's crown jewels are still missing. 800 years later, nobody's found them. Number 31. WeWork's $47 billion disaster. In 2019, WeWork was valued at $47 billion. They leased office space and sublet it to freelancers. They called it disrupting real estate. When they tried to IPO, people read their financials. They were losing $2 billion per year with no path to profitability. The CEO was self-dealing. 6 weeks later, valuation dropped to $8 billion. The CEO was fired. SoftBank lost $18 billion on the investment. The reality? They were just a landlord with nice branding. Number 32. The British burning the White House. In 1814, British forces invaded Washington, D.C. and burned the White House, Capitol, and other government buildings. It was retaliation for Americans burning Canadian buildings. Seemed like a good idea at the time. The result? Americans were furious. The war unified the nation against Britain. The U.S. rebuilt quickly. Britain gained nothing and looked like bullies. The backfire? Burning the Capitol made Americans more determined. It's still remembered as a British humiliation. Number 33. Atari burying ET cartridges. In 1982, Atari made an ET video game in 5 weeks to meet Christmas deadlines. It was awful, possibly the worst game ever made. They manufactured 5 million copies. They sold 1.5 million. They had 3.5 million unsold games. The solution? Bury them in a New Mexico landfill. Literally. They dumped truckloads of cartridges in the desert and poured concrete over them. The crash? This disaster helped crash the entire video game industry in 1983. Number 34. Theranos' $9 billion fraud. Elizabeth Holmes claimed her company, Theranos, could run hundreds of medical tests with 1 drop of blood. She was on magazine covers, worth $4.5 billion. One problem: the technology didn't work at all. They were faking results and giving patients false diagnoses. 2015, a journalist investigated. Everything collapsed. Holmes was convicted of fraud in 2022 and sentenced to 11 years in prison. The scandal? She fooled investors, board members, and pharmacies for over a decade with fake demos. Number 35. The Soviet Union digging the deepest hole. In 1970, the USSR started digging the Kola super deep borehole. Their goal: dig deeper than anyone ever had. For science. They dug for 24 years and reached 7.5 miles down, deeper than the ocean's deepest point. Then they hit 356 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures and stopped. The discovery? Not much useful. It cost a fortune. The hole is now abandoned and sealed. The lesson? Sometimes the answer to "can we" is yes, but why? Number 36. The Millennium Dome. In 2000, Britain built the Millennium Dome in London for $1.3 billion. It was supposed to be a celebration of the new millennium. They expected 12 million visitors. Only 6.5 million came. The attractions were boring. Critics called it a disaster. The government lost $628 million. The dome sat empty for years. Eventually, it became a concert venue decades later. The embarrassment? Britain's big millennium celebration became a symbol of government waste. From billion-dollar tech failures to wars started by diplomatic insults, Part 2 proves that humanity's capacity for catastrophic mistakes is truly limitless. We've learned nothing. We've changed nothing. We just keep making newer, more expensive versions of the same errors. Which disaster shocked you the most? Drop your pick in the comments. And hey, if you're having a bad day, just remember, at least you didn't lose a war to emus, bury millions of video game cartridges in the desert, or accidentally create the 6th largest navy while selling soda. The bar remains gloriously low. If these mistakes made you lose faith in humanity, just wait for Part 3. Like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the next round of historical disasters.